When you realize what your future can be, you want to do it right. UCF Online offers more than 100 fully online programs, plus personalized support from success coaches, so you can get to the future that's right for you.
From the 2023 OLC Accelerate Conference in front of a live audience. Let's hear you, live audience. Thank you very much for that. I'm Kelvin Thompson.
And I'm Tom Cavanaugh.
And you are listening to Topcast, the Teaching Online podcast. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Kelvin.
How'd we get here?
Oh, I took a flight to Reagan National from Orlando International. It was lovely.
Me too.
On time. Yeah. So here we are. 2023 Accelerate Conference. Back at it again.
Back at it.
With our friends and colleagues in the room. In fact, in this very room, we have, if I'm counting right, at least 4 previous Topcast guests.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. It's cultish a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Celebrities among us.
Right. Yeah, that's nice. For those of you who don't usually listen, we'll say that we do build this show as a collegial conversation conducted over a shared cup of coffee, usually about digital learning, online learning, blended learning. For fun, we usually try to tie at least one of our beverages to the topic of the day, since we're recording separately usually these days. But today, we share from the same beverage in our Gaylord Resort golden mug, but that's I didn't brew this from the room, Tom. I do carry a coffee making kit, and I was gonna try to, but it'll be cold by the time
You've got
I'm
like
here.
a holster with
I
all
do.
your
It's like
coffee paraphernalia ready to
That's
go.
right. But I know you've sipped this already.
I have.
This was a mystery to you until you sipped it, and you were like, "What in the world is
Yeah,
this?"
this is not your typical fare.
That's right, because there's stuff in there besides coffee.
That's right. Yeah.
Scotch. No, that's not true. It's not true. There is froof, you say.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
froof.
We've dressed it up, as my dad would say.
That's
We put
right.
Froof in your coffee.
So there's a little bit of mystery in the cup, and there are multiple substances, coffee and milk and chocolate and stuff in there.
Arsenic. Yeah.
Well, no, that's it. So I thought that all of that was kind of suitable for today's episode
Okay.
recording topic. So can you, I assume it's tasty.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I can't drink this stuff every day, but
No.
it's nice for a change.
It's like a dessert.
Dessert, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. But can you find a connection to today's topic?
Probably not. I'm terrible at the connections. I would say because we have crowdsourced,
Yes.
perhaps, our topics of
Yes.
the day, and it's a bit of a mishmash
Yes.
of various ingredients going into one delicious cup of podcast.
That kind of tracks. I
Okay,
figured,
all right.
our listeners don't really know what we're talking about. Our audience doesn't really know what we're talking about. We don't really. We
have no clue. Yeah.
and it's going to be a combination of things. So why don't we just tell people that we did put out a call for crowdsourced topics for this Topcast Live episode, and 2 topics rose neck and neck, and they tied at the finish line. And those 2 topics were: first, how do we prioritize the human element in an increasingly AI-driven future of digital learning? Good topic. And second, predicted future developments in online and blended learning over the next 5 years. Also, good topic. And so we thought we might just merge those topics together, not unlike the coffee and the chocolate and the milk, and address how the framing and implementation of our new increasingly AI-influenced field might continue to evolve over the next few years.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been to a few higher ed, online digital learning conferences this year, and
No mention of AI.
no, it's odd. It hasn't come up. Yeah. It's like you can't swing a cat without hitting AI around here. It's really the topic du jour. It's like we haven't even started AI, and I'm sick of AI already. But we have not yet even begun to address that topic. So I get why that's a spicy topic that people want to discuss.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, maybe we should observe this, that as we're recording this, and at the time of this episode's release, we're going to be just under a year since the public release of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And what a wild year it has been. And then also, when we did this last recorded live thing, there also were dueling topics. And one of those dueling topics was about predicting the future of 5 years. So I know a little bit about what we said because I went back and looked. We said 5 years ago that over the next 5 years, there'd be more of a merger of digital learning and online education because those two concepts were sort of dueling at the time.
Okay.
And more mainstreaming. And I guess all of our listeners and guests here will have to gauge whether our track record for predictions is good or not. So buyer beware. But I don't know. I think there has been more merging. Of course, the pandemic didn't hurt for that.
I didn't predict that.
No, I didn't either. So that's it. Now we did get some comments about these topics. So do you want to get a little taste of some of these? We want to throw some out so we can kind of hear some some comments. You want to read one or two of
I'll
these?
take the first one here.
All right.
So AI is mentioned in almost every meeting I'm in. I can relate. It's on everyone's minds, and I think we need some collaboration in our field to define what is distinctly human. Furthermore, I think we need to keep our conversations fresh as the technology is rapidly evolving. Yeah, I think we can all feel those feels. That seems like something we can all relate to.
Yes, someone else refers to it as the hottest topic on the list. Another person says, as AI permeates the educational landscape, it's crucial to remember that education is fundamentally a human endeavor. And by understanding how to better focus on preserving and enhancing the human connection, we ensure that students receive not only knowledge, but also the empathy, mentorship, and critical thinking skills necessary for success, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been talking about this on past Topcast episodes a good bit, so maybe it's not surprising that some of our listeners think that's surprisingly something we need to talk more about. But I think it's because it's not easy, right? This figuring out the place of the human.
It is. In fact, even another comment was, I wanted two options because the AI topic is so relevant. I want to know what I need to pay attention to now that will impact and kind of what's going to be in the future. And I think that role of the human in that is something that is maybe not so much the now, but is something that we have to think about now because it's going to impact us in the future. Like, how do we teach students how to ethically use AI? How do we teach faculty? I've talked about this a little bit, but I'm about to have a retreat with our division. We're going to spend a day talking about AI, and the challenge I'm going to give to the team is if we had 20% more demand tomorrow and we can't hire anybody, how would we leverage AI to meet that demand? And I think this is actually a very real challenge we're probably about to face.
Yeah, and that's tricky though, right? I mean, I think that's right. Let the AI do what the AI does well. Let the humans do what the humans do well. We don't want to confuse those roles. We don't want to become more robotic and expect the AI to do what should be fundamentally human work. I was talking with a vendor partner recently, and they were talking about how they were pursuing principles related to AI in their development work, and they're like, anything that really should be humans, like feedback, grading, that should be humans. That shouldn't be automatic. And I wonder sometimes. There's a joke in here somewhere, but I think as we all look for an easy button, we could easily get those roles confused. Like, we're looking for efficiencies. Where's the easy button? Push, and we cede our human value add if we're not careful. But hey, I was working on slides over the last couple of days, and I love that little design assistant thing in PowerPoint.
I love that thing. Yeah, it's great.
Ooh, it's a prettier slide now.
I was going through a LinkedIn Learning module the other day and it was about AI, sort of in prep for this retreat that we're going to do. And shout out to a guy named Dave Burse. He's awesome. I think he's a great follow. I'm getting no compensation for that plug. I'm just a fan. But one of the things he said that sort of helped me frame this relationship between the human and the machine was that you have to look at the AI as a collaborator. It's not a slave, it's a collaborator. And you're only going to get out what you put in. So the you have to give it at least as much information in your prompt as you would a human collaborator that you were going to work with. And then you kind of have to iterate and go back and forth. And if you kind of look at it in that mindset, then it becomes this tool, this sort of helper, but the human is driving it. The human is the one that sort of got the leash that's leading the bot around, but it can, as you said, sort of take the more routine, automated sort of tasks off your plate, or even kind of give you some ideas that you can then run with as the human to put, kind of your unique, innate creative spin on.
Yeah, and I think about your challenge to your team about how can we use AI better in our work, and I think about things like the various roles in online blended and digital learning, right? Faculty, instructional designers, administrative leaders, students, and each of those roles, how might AI be used appropriately, like reduced time to course development?
Yep.
Enhanced options, like more personalization in course design, because you can come up with different scenarios maybe. More opportunity for humanized feedback in our assessment of learning rather than automating AI-generated feedback, because you save some time over there so you can do some things over here. I wonder about that. And then I think about things like graduating students who understand how to use AI assistants within their jobs. What would that take?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think it's perhaps, a bit of malpractice if we are not thinking about how do we train students on how to use it, because they're going to go into the workforce, and this is going to be an expectation that they're going to have within their profession to be efficient. Because, within the bounds of ethics, if I were a business owner, I kind of don't care, right, if this is your original work or if it's the bot, if the thing gets done at a high quality level. And if you're the one doing it, so be it. I'm not going to be, as a business owner, running your, memo report through Turnitin. Like, does it have the data? Does it provide what I need? So I think we need to teach students how to use it in a proper way, but the context is very different from an academic context.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I was thinking about, kind of projecting ourselves in the future there a little bit, and I was thinking about online blended and digital learning. We talk often about access and flexibility, right? Schedule flexibility, more support, normalization of post-traditional student profiles, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm wondering, how does AI assistance fit within that? Is that something that we should be embracing all the more, online as an affordance for students who need the most support and flexibility, right? Because they're reaching out for that, and wonder what that looks like for them personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's baking AI into the process of our business, right? Yeah. So that, how can we point it at good, not evil, right? Yeah, how can we help students who are most at risk? And the AI can analyze the data so much more quickly than a human advisor or a success coach could. But a success coach could use those data to do proactive outreach and have a human conversation, but the AI can help them determine who's most at risk, why are they most at risk, what are the interventions that you could use to potentially help save that student. I think, again, it's a collaborator to the human. It's not necessarily always going to, or even ever potentially going to be something that just runs on its own. Then we were at Skynet territory. We don't need that. we don't need that. No. And yet we're still so early days when it comes to institutional guidance and even knowing how to frame this. Many of us are still in the declare that you thought about AI during the creation of this assignment, Right. Yeah. Give it credit. Give it credit. Yeah.
I experimented with that in a talk I did yesterday. I always, try to look for, say, public domain or Creative Commons licensed images, right? And so then you attribute that. But true story, haven't told anybody this.
As opposed to your usual lies and fabrication.
That's right. Yeah. Just more of that. Yeah. I was looking for a way to save time. So when I was looking for these images, I prompted ChatGPT to say, here are section headings. Give me some suggestions for what kind of visuals would evoke the heading I was looking for. Bonus points if you can give me a link directly to a Creative Commons licensed image. I asked for 8 things. 2 of the 8, there were actually usable images. Now, the ideas were good on about 6 of them, I think. But the other 4, there were links, but they were not links to the things that it described.
Dirty liar. I keep saying it. It's a dirty liar.
But 2 of them were good. So on those 2, I just experimented with this.
Yeah.
Here's my normal Creative Commons license thing, and then suggested by ChatGPT. I just appended.
I've
just kind of
used
model practice.
Google Bard. Google Bard will deliver images also, and I've asked for it to, give me Creative Commons images with a link for whatever the thing is, and it works. You have to tune it and give
Yeah.
it some extra feedback. And I want
right.
more of this or less
Yeah,
of that,
right.
but I don't have to go out and Google search those images, right? It serves them up to me. It's really, really convenient. It's evolving so quickly, though. Like I've been kind of I've been bookmarking all kinds of stuff in Twitter, X, whatever. I know how you feel about that.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. But all of these different examples of things that people have done, like just sketched out on the back of a piece of paper, an interface for a e-commerce site. Show that to the ChatGPT 4 visual, whatever it's called now, and then it writes the code for it. It actually just does it. It based on just showing it like a hand-drawn sketch on the back of a piece of paper. That's remarkable, and it's only going to get better.
I think that's right. But our institutional guidance, I worry if we're too quick to define things and clamp down, then we're going to lose those benefits that we were talking about student affordances and so forth. And I know that's an evolving thing at all of our institutions, but I think wherever you can exert influence, dear listeners, at your institutions, just to be a little bit broader in conceptualization while seeking guardrails is probably a good thing, because end of the day, we're trying to do better for our students. So I guess I'll take a risk and say that over the next 3 to 5 years, I think that we will see more AI assistance, not less, within all of our roles, like the ones that we mentioned, right? Whether that's faculty, all the way down to students, and with instructional designer folks and administrative leaders in the middle.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think I'm original in saying this, but in the middle of the 20th century, late 20th century, the manufacturing process was disrupted with the use of robots and automation, like in car manufacturing or other kinds of manufacturing. And everybody always said that the white-collar knowledge worker was insulated from that sort of disruption. I think we're starting to see that maybe that's not necessarily true. So how can we, as the human, ensure that we're using this tool ethically, but also as a prosthesis of the human, not replace the human. Like it's making humans better, smarter, more efficient, but it's not replacing what is uniquely human in that process.
Yeah, that's good. And, I know we've tilted a little AI heavy in this dual topic thing, but I think it's relevant here to say that one of our listeners did say that the trends of traditional age first time in college students is that they want a blended learning option, and that's one answer to help with the demographic 25 upcoming enrollment cliff. And another person said that, talked about attracting and retaining, right? I think this AI assistance is a part of that. If we do this right, it's not cyborgian and techno reductionist. It's very human and it's very humane, and the tools let the people be the people, and we appeal to meet the needs of the learners. I hope we'll see more of that over the next 5 years or so.
Let's hope. I don't want to live in a dystopian Blade Runner future.
Well, no, right. Although you'd look good in wet leather, probably. I guess that's
Yeah,
good.
need
You
a
want to try to
Rutger
land
Hauer.
this plane before we run out of time and they kick us out of here?
Maybe. All right. So let's think about the bottom line. So if online and digital education is going to continue to meet the needs of today's learners, increasingly diverse needs, and if there's one thing that we know is true, today's learners are becoming increasingly diverse across all spectrums of what that word means. We must lean into the human aspects of our work while also seeking efficiencies from our AI robot friends. But we cannot afford to confuse the two of those.
Yeah, well said. No, that's excellent. Well, I think we're right at just about time. But do you think I could fit in one plug before we go?
Yes, shameless plug, permission granted.
All right, thank you. The entire catalog of Topcast episodes is available on the Topcast website. Older episodes have faded from Apple Podcasts and possibly other platforms. They only list so many back there, and we've got so many now that our old stuff is rolled off. So each episode page contains a transcript, a Twitter summary of highlights, and carefully curated read more about it topical links. And you would find all of that at topcast.online.ucf.edu. topcast.online.ucf.edu. Until next time, for Topcast, I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Tom.
See ya.